Well, I gotta say, for my first time watching Elemental, it was pretty good. Not an absolute masterpiece or anything, but I still enjoyed it. Given that one of my scripts was inspired by this movie, it was a solid watch. Right off the bat, I want to start by saying that I love the art design of the Elements world. Obviously, you have the four stages: air, fire, water, and plantation, aka Earth. But the way how they're all implemented into this world is so creative. Obviously, fire is afraid of water, makes sense, considering that typically water puts out fire. But it's not the creative art deco design that makes this film visually. Just in general, the animation as per usual is breathtaking. I especially love the underwater sequence, where the bubbled ember witnesses all of the Vivistera flowers spouting out. Really beautiful stuff here. And all of the city sceneries, like with any Pixar film that has city-like environments, are really gorgeous. And you know what? All of this is coming from the same guy who has mixed feelings of almost all of the Tour City tracks, whether good or bad. And I was not expecting Thomas Newman to come back to compose the music for this film. Like I said in the Wall-E review, you associate this guy mainly with the Finding Nemo duology, but this is now his second non-Nemo film, and he really knocks it out of the park here. I know I keep saying loads of times that movies look and sound good, but I'm just one of those guys who admires the visuals and musical score, when they're done right, of course. But of course, the one key part of a film is always, time and time again, the writing, and if a movie is well paced. And this film has that for sure. This movie follows Emma Lumen, who desires to step after her father to run the shop once he's retired, all while trying to keep herself controlled while interacting with customers. But Emma's father still holds out hope thanks to the blue flame tied to their culture. But one day, Emma's temperature gets out of hand when she accidentally leaks the pipes with water. But she doesn't want to spill the beans to her dad about the pipes and the place shutting down, as he knows that this place means so much to him. But once meeting Wade, at first she is hesitant about it, but throughout the film and also forming a close bond after trying to stop the pipes from flooding with sandbags, does she and him find a connection across this whole film. I know, it is just your typical love story, but I like how it's a different take on it. Emma is cross with Wade at first about her dad's place potentially shutting down thanks to the pipes, but only after having a talk with Gail Cumulus about the notes Wade sended, the two find out what caused the pipes to leak. I want to touch on this scene though as the two are traveling. I love this little moment when Emma recalls her missing out on seeing a Vivistera flower when she was younger, which broke her heart. But she finally gets to see not just one, but a ton in the underwater scene I mentioned earlier. And across the film, the two find each other's heart. I love the little sequence when Emma and Wade connect after the underwater sequence, and have a little dance like they were supposed to earlier during their hangout montage, but Emma was a little worried to do so. This scene is so wholesome, but it's so heartbreaking when Emma and Wade fall out over Emma's passion of the shop, and that she would take over. But in the end, her father spills out that she spilled out the truth about leaking the pipes, crushing her dream, and making her think she's a bad daughter. This is probably the saddest scene in the whole film. Emma worked so hard to keep her cool and follow in the footsteps of her father, only for that to blow up in her face. What a letdown. But it's all made up with the most intense sequence of the whole film, when the strong glass actually breaks in the end after it believed to be working. All of the pipes start leaking, and water spreads all over Firetown, which leads to Emma trying to fix it all by warning everyone to get to high ground. Ember tries all she can to save the store, but it is too weak. But thankfully, Wade is there to help out. The two try their best, but Wade starts turning into steam due to the enclosed heat. And after rejecting him in that sad scene, Ember finally admits that she loves Wade. It would be their final moment together. But of course, as the old saying goes, things turn out better in the end. After Ember apologizes to her father about ruining the family legacy in what is a very emotional scene for her, we hear Wade crying. And remembering the game she played with Wade's family in an earlier scene in the film, which I forgot to mention is quite a fun scene, he drips from the ceiling and finally reforms. And the two finally continue their relationship with their first kiss. What an ending. But months later, Ember has accepted the job at the glass company and is leaving with Wade to get there. The two say their goodbyes to their parents and leave for the other city. And that's the end. Of course, until in the after credits scene, Wade and Ember finally come back after an unknown amount of time of traveling together. But the story is still well paced in my opinion. Not amazing as we've seen love stories quite a few times already, but it's still a fun story. Especially how it handles the dynamic between a fire character and a water character. And how being touched with one another isn't really that bad in the grand scheme of things. So I apologize if I didn't really have that much to say in terms of what I think of this movie. But that's not me saying that this is a poor movie or anything. It's still a good movie all around, but I've seen better Pixar films before this one. Overall, Elemental is pretty good. I recommend it without a doubt. But in terms of 2023 films, we all know a movie tops this one by a long shot. But at least it's better than the Barbie movie, that's for sure. Which I have heard from certain people is pretty bad. And that's coming from the same company who's pulling it back with Thomas, for the most part. But that's another story. Two more movies to go, guys. And we'll be done until Hoppers and Toy Story 5 come out on digital streaming services and DVD for all to see. But tomorrow's movie, though, things are gonna get quite interesting, as we'll be once again stepping into the mind with Inside Out sequel, happily titled Inside Out 2. Now, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews of this film from friends and critics, but just what do I think of this movie? Well, stay tuned on my thoughts for tomorrow's video.